Hello, here is a study guide that I wanted to offer you guys in order to help you make your own study guide and figure out how to study and prepare yourself for tomorrow's test. You do have a test tomorrow. It will cover everything reviewed on this study guide video, but do know that I'm not providing a printed review this chapter, so you want to take it upon yourself to make sure that you prepare yourself. So I'm going to walk you through kind of the big ideas and the I can statements from this chapter. First, we spent 3 days reviewing how to factor polynomials. Remember, we listed different techniques. The first was GCF. Of course, that's something we're familiar with from middle school and that we should always check for first. So the GCF method could apply to any polynomial, whereas the grouping method only worked when there were 4 terms. So the grouping method was kind of a subset of GCF. It was a way that you could group 2 by 2 and find a GCF to try to factor when you had 4 terms. And then the biggest that we focused on were our quadratics, which were our trinomials. Remember, there were some that were rather easy. You could do those so quickly. We could even play a Kahoot on them because you could do them in your head. Or you could do that X method where you try to multiply to this number, add to this number. But then there were the ones that you had to think a little bit harder on and guess and check. And then our fourth method is difference of squares. And remember, that only worked if you have the difference, meaning you're subtracting 2 perfect squares. So we should recognize those perfect squares pretty quickly to be able to do that method. So now that I've recapped the 4 factoring techniques, I'm going to give you time or actually have you pause and try to factor these on your own. This first one, you would have used the guess and check method. There was no GCF, so we want to come up with factors that multiply to 6. So the first thing I would try is 2 and 3. If that doesn't work, then I could go back and I could try 6 and 1. Also, the factors that multiply to 5, the only options are 1 and 5. So we just have to figure out where to put the 1 and 5 if this works. I see a 13 in the middle, so perhaps if I put a 5 here and a 2 here, check my smiles, that's going to get me 15 minus 4. So I don't think that that's going to work, right? So there, sorry, probably because I put a 2. How about I put a 1 there and then it would work? There we go. So 15, I need to be positive. Minus 2, I need to be a negative 1 there, so that when you check your smiles, you get that 13 in the middle. The second one was just a GCF, so pardon my bad penmanship with the stylus here, but you could divide both of those by 10x squared. When you do that, you should have gotten 2x minus 1 left over. So that was just GCF. This one had 4. So that you could factor by grouping. Again, due to my poor pen, I'm going to be a little bit lazy in the work I show, but you should have already tried this, and now we're just comparing our work. We see that the n minus 6 does in fact match, so that has to match in order to be able to factor by grouping. So you could have had these 2 binomials. The order that you wrote them, of course, doesn't matter. And then our final one here, the first thing I notice is the GCF. So I could divide everything by 2. So that's going to get me here. And then I could factor that more because multiplies to 18, adds to 3. I could use 6 and 3 if I do x minus 6 and x plus 3. So make sure that you completely factor that GCF and then the x method. Also in this chapter, we've graphed quadratic functions. Remember that you could graph quadratic functions in one of 2 forms. If it's in this standard form, then we would need to find the vertex first by using the formula for our axis of symmetry, negative b over 2a. Otherwise, if it's already in vertex form, then we could just identify the vertex as our h and k. So first things first, we need to find the vertex. So either form doesn't matter. We need to find the vertex first, and then we'll put that in the middle of our table and then find some surrounding points. So here are 2. I'm again going to ask you to pause the video. I will as well as we make our tables and graph. All right, so you can take a second to compare. This first one was in standard form, so of course I had to do negative b over 2a, which was just 2 divided by 2 to give me 1. And that's, of course, how I got the middle value of my table. I pick smaller numbers and bigger numbers, and then it's just a matter of plugging and chugging. So plugging in those inputs for x gave me the following outputs for y, and I graphed that in by hand. It's not the best, but you can tell that my parabola is opening up. Whereas 6, we saw a negative in front, so of course that parabola was opening down. This was also in vertex form, so that's where you can just grab the vertex opposite here and the same number as the end. So my vertex was positive 3, 4. Could go ahead and plot that, and then it's going to open down. So again, pick some surrounding points, plug and chug. All right, we can also find domain and range of quadratic functions. The domain, of course, was actually the easy one because it's the same always, negative infinity to positive infinity. So you can think this is going to get wider and wider. This gets wider and wider. So the parabolas continue to get wider regardless of how they open. The range will depend on if it has a minimum, then it has a low point and then opens up, or if it has a maximum, it opens down and then has a maximum point. So that would go from negative infinity to whatever this number is, versus this one would start at the number and then go up to positive infinity. So definitely something to think about when you find the range, which is the highest or lowest y value. So that's just the vertex. So again, we'll do negative b over 2a to find the x, plug that in to find the y value here, or the y value here that represents our min or our max. So here you can pause the video and go ahead and give these two a try. All right, so as we said before, the domain's kind of the freebie point because it's always the same. The range is found by the min or the max. So this one is negative. I can visualize that it opens down. So when I find the vertex here, that's going to be negative b over 2a, so 0 divided by anything is 0. And then when I plug in 0, I get negative 3 for y. So my vertex, the highest y value will be at this point here at 0, negative 3. And then it opens down forever. So our range should have been written as negative infinity to negative 3. On the second one, this parabola is positive, so it's opening up. So again, the domain, of course, is the same, but the range starts at this point on the vertex, which again, I find negative b divided by 2a gave me 2. When I plug in 2, that should give me, what, 4? Negative 4 plus 5 is 1. Right? So this vertex point to 1 tells me that 1 is the lowest point of the y for the range, and then it opens up from there. All right, and then we've also written quadratic functions in vertex form. So remember, if you have a quadratic that's in standard form, we want to use that process that's called completing the square. So that's where we would divide by a if there were an a, and then we would look at those first two terms and try to convert it to this format. And we used the completing the square method to do that. So here are two that you can try. Again, pause the video and give this a try. Right, I'll try to go through this quickly. As a reminder, you took half of negative 8 was negative 4, and you squared negative 4 to get 16. So if you added a 16, you needed to keep this balanced by subtracting a 16. Now you can make sure that this did in fact become a perfect trinomial that factors to x minus 4 and x minus 4. So you could write your final answer as the quantity x minus 4 squared and then minus 15 on the end. So that's vertex form. Of course, we like that form because now I can just look and see that my vertex would be at positive 4, negative 15. On the second one, there was a leading coefficient, so you would have first needed to take these two terms and divide by the a value, which was 3. So divide by 3, that would get us here, and then we complete the square to finish. So half of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9. If I added 9, remember it wasn't really just 9, it was 9 times 3. So I really added a 27. I need to subtract a 27 to keep that balance. Now I can go ahead and factor to make sure x plus 3, yep, that's a perfect square. So our final answer, remember a was 3, and then x plus 3 quantity squared, and then 7 minus 27 gives us a negative 20 on the end. So again, we like vertex form because you can look at that and see now that the vertex is negative 3, negative 20. So we can convert into vertex form by completing the square. That wraps up the big topics for tomorrow. So I hope that this study guide video just kind of reiterated and reviewed some of those big ideas with you. And then now you'll jump over to Google Classroom to see the rest of your assignment. Don't forget, test tomorrow.